everybody, and welcome to Blue Jays Today. Well, you boys, we always got something to say with the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog.
And I'm your host, Adam Peddle, and today, guys, we're going to look at a Toronto Blue Jay that's poised for a pretty big role this upcoming season. Unless we make some sort of drastic trade or free agent signing, this dude should be an every single day player in the Toronto Blue Jays lineup. Before we do, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Blue Jays Today. Now, I mean, some of y'all probably already know who it is because you saw the thumbnail, but it's Schneider, man, because we've been talking so much about finding a replacement at third base. But right now, it's looking like you got Schneider, you got Kevin Biggio, and a little bit of Espinal in the mix to split between second base and third base. So if we don't get Matt Chapman and we don't make a trade, it looks like Schneider could actually get an opportunity to prove in a full season what he's made of. And based on last season, there's some pretty big promise there, man.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, I have never been more hyped about an effectively no-name guy come up to the MLB and just explode on pitchers. Like this dude, like I was praying for the opposing pitchers when they were facing off against Schneider in that first month of baseball that he played. Like in that month of August, and I was talking to you prior to shooting this podcast, I still remember looking at his stats compared to Guerrero. And this guy had like half the WAR of Vladdy in 2 weeks' time. Meanwhile, he played the whole season.
Yeah.
That's fucking insane.
When you go 9 for 13 with a couple bombs in like one weekend, like that will do that.
Literally.
You know?
And he put himself on the map. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a player do. Like, Blue Jays Twitter, they lost their minds when this guy went crazy. All of MLB started to turn around to the magic of Schneider.
Bro,
And
I have a shirt of his face.
That's wild.
With legend.
That's crazy.
And then after like what, 2 weeks?
Literally.
Shout out to 11 Up Labels, by the way.
Literally, dude. So like this guy, he's got that it factor, or at least he's shown that he's capable of having that it factor. But in the second half, completely different story, right? And this is the tale of two Schneiders, right? In August, amazing, best player in baseball. In September, I mean, really like not necessarily the guy that we were getting accustomed to in that first month of baseball, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Hey, quick shout out to Battlegrounds, guys. This holiday season, absolutely check out Battlegrounds. Bring your date. You know, bring your date. And if you want to impress them, you know, they got coaches there and everything. Shut them out. Go check it out, guys. September, October. Look at this. 727 OPS, not bad. But when you're coming off a month where you had a 1,400 OPS, yeah, it's a little bit of a downside. And the batting average, 174. The batting average really fell off.
It really fell off.
And that's one thing, that's one stat, I guess, I want to look at. That's kind of underlying when you look at like, you know, metrics and everything like that he wasn't really expected to have a big batting average either. Like if you go over here to Baseball Savant, he was only projected to have an expected batting average of 214. Yeah. And the slugging, however, still there, expected to do really well. He really smashed those fastballs. But 214 batting average. So maybe the batting average overall in the season's kind of deceiving, right? Maybe he's not like a hit for contact kind of guy, even though that's what a lot of people are thinking. Maybe he's more of a hit for power. But I mean, isn't that what the Blue Jays want anyways?
Yeah, and if you look over at the projected lineup here, guys, I mean, they have Schneider locked in at that 6th spot. And that's, I don't agree with necessarily everything on this lineup, but I think that's probably a pretty good spot for him. If we don't pick up anybody else, that is most likely where he is going to live. If he is going to turn into the player type of, oh, I hit for just power, only power, it's home runs, baby, all the time, I am totally cool with that. But it can't be a situation where you're batting 174, right? There needs to be a little bit of give there, too. And I do think that he's capable. I think that what we saw from Schneider was maybe the best debut month of anybody. Yeah. And then a little bit of humbling experience, coming down to earth, being like, oh, shit, like there's some good pitchers up here. They've kind of figured out the game plan on me a little bit. Yeah. I'm going to need to go back to the lab and then kind of readjust to them.
Bro, well, that's what you saw him do in the month of August. And then I don't really know what happened or what went wrong in September and October, because I remember specifically people were attacking him upstairs with the fastball. That's kind of the go-to, right? Like,
and he was bad at that. Sorry to cut you off, but he was bad at that in AAA. Like that was like the book on him was like he can't do this in AAA, so we're gonna do it in the MLB. Right. Or in the minors, excuse me.
Right. And I even remember when he was in the big leagues too, like in this first like week or so, I remember thinking like this guy needs to, you know, get ready for the big adjustment, right? Where are they gonna attack him? I noticed immediately after that Boston series, it was fastballs upstairs, and he was getting out. I think it might have been Cleveland after that. I'm not 100% sure, but it was fastballs upstairs, and he was getting out. And then what happened, like, really quick, the next week, he started attacking the fastballs, driving them out of the ballpark. Now, he needs to continue to make those adjustments, man. Like, if anybody wants to be successful, you've got to continue to make those adjustments. We know he's got a great approach, right? So he's got to take that same energy, that same focus on selecting pitches. He's got to put that into his approach and determining which pitches are best for him. Because, yeah, you could go and hit fastballs upstairs, but eventually, if they start to then, okay, now we're going to adjust and go downstairs, you got to be able to lay off. And maybe some pitches you just can't hit. You just got to lay off them, right?
Yeah.
Now, just because they're attacking you, that doesn't mean you have to swing at them all the time.
Well, look, I completely agree. And I mean, he should probably have a conversation with some of the other guys in the lineup, too, about that. Because Guerrero has been struggling with that issue for his entire MLB tenure at this point. I think Davis Schneider is a really exciting project. You know, I think that there is a lot of work that still needs to be done there. Again, like, you're not going to come up to the MLB and immediately be Mike Trout or better than Mike Trout, right?
I mean, especially when you're drafted. Where was he even drafted? 28th round? Like, no one's expecting that.
28th round, you know? And I mean, people were joking around calling this guy literally the next coming of Babe Ruth.
Literally.
As much as, and as funny as that is, I almost feel bad for him in a sense because now you have that pressure. Now you got that weight. Now it's like whenever you come up to the dish, people are expecting and anticipating you to come up clutch. And you've only been in the league for 3 weeks.
Right.
You know, like that is a tough position to be. And I think probably a mixture of they are attacking you differently. And then also that pressure of like, oh shit, maybe I am the guy, kind of got to him a little bit. And then you started to see that, in September, in October, it was like, okay, we're getting in our head a little bit. I think that this offseason couldn't have come at a better time because if it would have continued, then that could have been a little bit of a downhill trajectory, moving forward for David Schneider. But getting the offseason when it was, now he can really go back. He can evaluate everything. And I think that looking back at a season, like, you've got to feel confidence if you're David Schneider moving into 2024 in your abilities at the MLB.
Yeah, I mean, what are you expecting from David Schneider? Let's say we don't go out and we don't get another role. He's an everyday kind of guy, right? What are you expecting out of David Schneider this year?
It's tough to say, dude. I mean, I'm expecting off the rip for the Toronto Blue Jays, I'm expecting or hoping that you don't trade him. Because I think right now it's like
people are kind of interested in him, right? He's got maybe a little bit of value.
1,000%, dude. I mean, you don't come up and you don't put up a 1.4 OPS over the course of a month and not have anything to offer, right? Like, there is something there, and I think that any hitting coach is kind of salivating at the fact of trying to get that out of him consistently. So unless it is for somebody crazy like Jose Ramirez or something, you hold on to Davis Schneider. For the season, it is really tough to say, dude.
Yeah, I know.
I would be over the moon, thrilled, overjoyed, so happy if he could just put up a solid 750 OPS type of season. And that's a big ask.
Yeah.
I know that's, like on the entirety of everything, right? If that was Guerrero's numbers, you'd be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
But for a guy like David Schneider, who was drafted in the 28th round, like, that is still a very serviceable slash line to come up with, and I would be totally happy with it.
Guess who also had a 750 OPS last year?
Whoa! Time for your daily Betway breather. A quick reminder that the best place to bet is on Betway. Must be 19 years of age or older to play. In collaboration with iGaming Ontario, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
Varsho?
Matt Chapman.
Dude.
Matt Chapman.
No, Varsho's was lower.
Yeah, Varsho's was lower.
I was thinking Springer, but Springer's was lower too.
Yeah. So exactly, right? In 750 from Schneider could be very doable. You know, again, you look over at the expected numbers. If he's expected to have a slugging of 459, which apparently is a lot higher than what he actually did have last year.
Yeah.
And then what? You add that with his on base of 404, and that's not going to stay there. Let's humble him a little bit. Let's bring it down to 350. That's still very good.
Well, his slugging was a lot higher than that. That's the MLB numbers right there.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, he had a 600 slugging over the course of the season.
Okay. My apologies. So let's actually give him a 450 then. So 450 plus a 350, right? You're looking at 800 OPS. That's actually pretty damn good.
That's very good. Assuming that everything stays the same, which I don't necessarily think that it will. I think that I am most comfortable with Davis Schneider in a position where you can cycle in Cavan Biggio and Schneider. And I think that is what this team is trying to do. You know, they want to hold on to them, and they want to have a situation where you can play and get regular time in the lineup, but it's not necessarily like all on you all the time, because that is still a lot. Like, I know that he is not necessarily a rookie anymore, but the guy's only had 2 months in the MLB. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah, I think he still might have his rookie status.
He would have a status. He would have a status.
He could be rookie of the year next year. You never know.
It's possible.
But here's the thing. For him to get, I do want him, like, to win the second base job. No offense to Biggio. No offense to Esmo. Look, I want anybody who's doing well to win the second base job. But I would love if David Schneider got the opportunity to play every day at second base. Because, look, I mean, I just kind of convinced myself right there. You reduce that on base by 50 points, and he's expected to hit a 450 slugging. Like, dude, that's an 800 OPS player right there. Now, the only way he's going to get an everyday job at second base is either two realities. One, you have nobody, you bring in nobody to come over and play third base. So you have Kevin over there, you have at third base, or maybe him at third base. They kind of split those kind of roles. Or two, here's the thing. If you do bring in someone, you also got to make sure you're bringing a lefty, because that's the big thing that keeps Kevin Biggio in the lineup over him. He's a righty. If you bring in a Cody Bellinger, you're more comfortable saying, okay, Biggio, you're back to the bench. Schneider can play second because we have another lefty at the top part of our lineup.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, dude. And just to go to your point about, like, you want him to win the job,
Right.
I think it's the most exciting option.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Like, at the end of the day, like, I mean, Kevin Biggio had a good few months or final months there for the Toronto Blue Jays as well. But just in terms of, like, the ceiling of all of these players, I don't think that we can say that Biggio's ceiling is his Hall of Fame dad anymore, right? Like, we've seen enough of him to know that that's probably not where you're going to go. And Espinal, too. I mean, like, there's been flashes in the pan, but I don't necessarily anticipate him to ever be an all-star caliber player, you know, anymore. So Davis Schneider, from what he showed last year, I mean, the guy still finished the season with an OPS over 1.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that was a Guerrero MVP numbers, you know? And I don't anticipate that to be, you know, the entire season long for Davis Schneider. But the ceiling is absolutely there for this kid. The ceiling is absolutely there, and that is what's most tantalizing.
Yeah, I mean, especially dude's going to enter his first pre-ARB year.
Yeah.
So he's got 6 years left, guys. Guy won't be a free agent until like 27, 28, 29, until 2030. So if you could get this guy to break out, be one of those infielders for the Blue Jays long term, that would be an unexpected breakout, and that would be phenomenal. A lot of pressure on him.
Yeah.
But I'm really hoping he can hit it, guys.
Dude, I think that this just convinced me that we really should not be trading this guy at all, right?
This one right here?
You know, the contract, you know, it's one of those things where, yes, if this can turn in to an everyday player, this is the shit that keeps dynasties going, right? When you look over at those Houston Astros and they just continue to recycle, bring up all these other guys who are learning from the already established elites and then become good players, right? And have them on those cheap contracts, you could own a very serviceable Davis Schneider for 6 more seasons of cheap money. That would be incredible.
Yeah, we need it, guys. But you guys let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about Davis Schneider? And do you want him to kind of get the everyday role? And what are your projections on him for 2024?
Also, please make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And $3 a month become a Patreon member. Shout out and thank you to all of our current Patreon members and our YouTube members too. We appreciate every single one of you guys.
Guys, thank you so much for watching.
And as always,
Go Jays, go!